Money never sleeps, pal.
Hey there, I'm Pete Townsend, and this is Money Never Sleeps. We look inside the minds of entrepreneurs and at the crossover of startups, enterprise, finance, technology, and life as we know it. This week, I'm catching up with Alejandro Gutierrez, who's gone from crypto community catalyst to the driving force behind Solana Superteam Ireland. When we last spoke 6 weeks ago, Alejandro was quietly setting the stage. Now, he's officially leading Solana's push across the island of Ireland, north and south, and the early momentum is undeniable.
Money never sleeps, pal.
In this episode, we unpack how Superteam Ireland came to life and why the Solana Foundation doubled down on Irish talent, what's brewing at the Dublin BuildStation and how it's become a launchpad for Web3 startups in Ireland, where agentic AI, payments, and health tech intersect with Solana's edge, and why stablecoins may quietly reshape the future of finance in Ireland before most even notice. From Friday Talent Hubs to Demo Day wins and beyond, this one's all about building an ecosystem, one project, and one conversation at a time. So let's dive in with Alejandro Gutierrez on Money Never Sleeps. So, hey, Alejandro, thank you for coming back to the show. We got a lot to talk about today, don't we?
Indeed. Thank you very much, Pete. Always a pleasure to be here. And I'm really, really glad to be back.
Awesome. Why don't we start there today with you telling us about what you're doing with Solana Superteam Ireland, how it even came up, and what you think this will look like?
I will tell the whole story, I think, and we'll give a little bit of context to everybody. Around 9 months ago, we started something called the Solana Talent Hub. And the reason behind was their last year visit of the Solana Superteam in UK. They said, look, there is absolutely nothing happening here for the people in the Solana ecosystem. Why not creating a space for that people to get together? And more or less, I came to Dogpatch. I convinced the guys on Dogpatch to give me a table with some chairs and getting the people from the Solana ecosystem. And why? Because I saw talent. And I think it's always important to just support the talent in the Irish ecosystem. We started with 4 people, 5 people. And by the end of the year, we were consistently hitting like 10 people. So, okay, this is interesting. Ireland did extremely well, actually, on the Radar Hackathon. That is part of the Colosseum Hackathons last year. Out of 3 submissions, 2 winners, which is insane. And that actually gave that boost for the Solana Foundation to say, okay, what is happening in Ireland? Should we just support Ireland and create a super team? And the guys like a Cap in the Superteam UK and also Arthur in Superteam France, that is the person that manages all the super teams in Europe. They saw something in Ireland and they vouched for the idea. So I would like to just give them a shout because they were critical for this to happen. With that in place, we launched Superteam on the 7th of March. So it has been a month and a bit only. It feels like it's way longer than that. But the important component is the vouch, right, that we had of supporting the Irish talent has been paying dramatically. We were consistently getting 20 plus people to come to work on the Talent Hub every single Friday, which is amazing to see. And out of that, projects have been created. And more recently, with BuildStation, we got 19 projects to submit to our demo day that happened last week.
And just stepping back before we get into BuildStation, I mean, the outcome that you want to drive with Solana Superteam here in Ireland. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Solana Superteam as an initiative is a non-profit accelerator that is funded by the Solana ecosystem. And the plan or the idea behind is support the Irish Solana ecosystem and help everybody that is interested on it to just have an easier journey. 1, in learning how to just go into the Solana ecosystem. 2, to get the support. And that support is everything from education to funding. And also to find the people that are in that journey exactly the same as them. One of the things that we have realized quite quickly is that when you are within a team of people that are building and they're doing the same, the learnings And the boosts of those teams are faster and higher. That's one of the main learning that we're taking out of it.
I know that you're taking all island approach as well across all of Ireland.
Correct. Yeah, it is a whole island approach. Superteam Ireland is not just the Republic, is everybody in the island. And this one is an interesting one because Superteam UK was covering what it was Ireland and the UK. But now I think I'm going to just request CAP to officially change the name to Superteam Great Britain.
Yes, we're going down that road now, aren't we? The reason I ask is that when we count the numbers across the island of Ireland, where we've got 7 million people here, right, on the island, and I equate that to Massachusetts, where I'm from originally, and there's 7 million people in Massachusetts. And that when you have this type of a concerted effort to build and to have those that are building on Solana, building on any ecosystem, to have this type of championing effort, this leadership is a good thing. I don't think that in Massachusetts now we've got Nick Dukoff and Amira Valiani, who are both with Solana. I think they're both based in Massachusetts, right? But in terms of this type of concerted effort and focus for this type of ecosystem, it's a pretty big deal, isn't it?
It is, especially for Ireland. This is the first time that this happened in the whole island. And I think it was a big gamble. We were optimistic, but at the end of the day, you never know until the results are out there, especially from the hackathon perspective and from the support that people was going to give to Solana. But it has paid over, and the support has been dramatic. And you mentioned something that is really important and that I have realized. I think you need to have if you want to use run these type of initiatives, you need to have a head that is leading all these. And now I understand the reason why the guys from Solana were so adamant about the fact that the person that is leading these super teams needs to be focused or have the main focus on it. Because if it's not like that, it's impossible. The base is really hectic. The role of this lead is to serve as a conduit, as the mentor, as a help for all the projects and all the people in the ecosystem that are in there. And that requires time. There's no other way to do it.
And you're also crossing over between the geo of Ireland, but also the verticals. What are the
Correct.
verticals that you think are going to be interesting that you'll help to bring to life on Solana here in Ireland?
Yeah, so AI is one of them. And we are seeing it more and more, especially with everything that has to do with agentic payments. Actually, one of the companies part of the Colosseum Hackathon, the agentic payments, they were in the beginning just an AI company. And I explained to them the benefits of blockchain, and suddenly they are converted and they're part of Superteam Ireland, and they're getting more and more into it. So that's one that I clearly see. And pretty related to it, payments. I think everything has to be with payments. Ireland has been a country, what I hope, for payment operations of multiple companies, Irish ones and international ones. So I believe there's going to be a lot of synergies that will be there. And the final one that I'm really keen to explore is everything that has to be with healthcare and bioscience. I think there is so much potential on it with regards to the blockchain technology. And that's probably one of my goals for the second half of the year.
The payments industry really came out of fintech. It really came out of players like some of the OGs in Ireland, like Fexco.
Correct.
And that there is an M1 payments corridor going up between Dublin and Belfast. Yeah. And there's a number of players there. There's obviously PayPal have a big presence here. Stripe, the very core of what they're doing around payments is, the Colosseum brothers, obviously from Ireland, they got a big operation here. We've got Eloan, who are part of one of the key players in the global credit card network. They have a good base of operations here.
TransferMate as well.
We could go on and on. There's a ton going on here, and it's almost equivalent to what's going on. Atlanta have made a big inroads into this, and with the whole payments environment that they have. And that has been driving a big part of fintech, and that the core evolution of payments that I think everyone is talking about is with stablecoins. There's tons of activity there, but we need to bring people along. We definitely need to bring people along, and I think there are ways to do that,
100%. And it's going to be a long journey. It's going to take us time, But one thing that I'm seeing more and more, a good example was when Stripe actually bought Bridge. Because a lot of the payment processors and the payment companies that didn't know the reason why, but the ones that had not been close to the crypto space before. And then when you start explaining, then they're saying like, oh, wow, okay, this is happening. And this is a big upside for them. So now what are we going to do? So they are now on the look of, okay, what is going to be the way they're going to be able to match that? And they know that they're like left behind in a way. They're lagging. So the efforts are going to be just dramatically. And I'm seeing it. There's more and more people now interested on it.
Oh, yeah. Well, Chris Dixon from A16Z, I heard him talking about this recently, and he said, we're approaching this flipping point where the middle manager in the payments firm has more career upside by moving in the direction of stablecoin payments than they would be by rejecting the idea of stablecoin payments, because the narrative is shifting. And so I think it's bringing people along, showing them the ropes around stablecoins, and listen, these are just digital payments without intermediaries.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's it. It's a more efficient way to do them, right? But then if you think about the Irish ecosystem concept, what this could potentially give us is positioning not just the Irish players, but even the Irish people in the space at a different level. If we adapt this type of technology faster than other jurisdictions.
Because I'm thinking about how much we've embraced Revolut here as a country, and that I'd say at least half the people on the island have Revolut. We use that all the time. We use that every day, and that we've got a good base of people who are adopting new technologies, which is great. Are we likely to see an adoption of stablecoins at the institutional level behind the scenes, where stablecoin rails are replacing the old credit card and debit card networks, where we have that impact here in Ireland? Or are we expecting to see perhaps people with easier tools to use to be able to send stablecoin payments back and forth between, say, a non-custodial wallet like a MetaMask or Coinbase wallet? Where do you think we're going to see the impact?
It's a great question. A great question.
Because I've been thinking about this one, right? In that we still have some work to do on the crypto side to abstract the complexity away from the user and with non-custodial wallets.
I think that's probably in Ireland, the way I see it, that's probably the easiest path for adoption of stablecoins. Like it's something that is in the background, people are using, they don't even know. Exactly the same as Revolut. People don't even know that they are not holding it. They just know, I bought some stablecoin. I bought some crypto. Where? Revolut. Okay, you don't own it, but at least you're getting exposure and you are understanding a little bit the game. I think that's probably the way that is going to happen. People using it without even knowing. And the reality is exactly the same as a lot of the technologies. Like, you abstract complexity. People are using the technology. They don't even know they're using the technology. Why should they know that they're using the technology? It's irrelevant.
So I think the effort from a stablecoin perspective is to educational side of it, kind of meeting people where they are. And when they're curious about that at the enterprise level, at the institutional level, it's going in to bring folks together, to have some conversations about this, to understand what perhaps might be the obstacles, what might be the things that are holding people back. And one of the big things we see has always been regulation, but I think we're on the cusp of the Genius Act, hopefully going through in the US. And there's been progress on that this week. And obviously we've had Mika here go live in Ireland, in the EU. So I think we're on the way there, but lots to do there. And Solana being, obviously USDC is on Solana. Tether is on Solana.
And you have the decentralized option like USDS.
I think there's plenty of upside there to work on here in Ireland with stablecoin payments. And related to that, as you said, with AI, with agentic payments. And there are players here that like Latinum AI who are in the hackathon, and we'll talk about that in a second. When I went out to go look a few years ago at the allocation of angel investor deals, that the vast majority of angel deals done in Ireland by angels
from Ireland were in health tech, in med tech, because that's where we have a ton of folks that have worked in those industries for a long time, that have a little bit of investable wealth, that are perhaps writing angel checks in the 5, 10, 15, 20, 25K category.
So I was reading about this yesterday. Final last year, half of the investment in Ireland went to that industry or to those industries.
Yep. And again, thinking about the effort there of whether it is at the individual level or at the enterprise level. And I think the conversations that can be had are probably going to be a lot easier to have the enterprise level. So that's, that's a strategy to pursue there. Also, going back to the activities that you're undertaking, Alejandro, and that we partnered on something recently with Techstars Web3 and the Solana Colosseum Hackathon that took place, and where you got the Dublin BuildStation up and running, which feels like it is an extension and a strengthening of the talent hub that you started. You want to talk a little bit about that and how you got that off the ground in preparation for the hackathon that was just this past weekend?
I think you said well, it was the next stage was the evolution of Talent Hub. So Talent Hub is a place where people can come on Fridays, they can work from Dogpatch. That works well. However, if you want people to be able to just create meaningful submissions for hackathons, you need to give them a space in which they can be there. And that's the plan with BuildStation. So we got 18 spaces in Dogpatch. We provide monitors, we provided food, we provided mentors, talks. There were 2 sessions every single day with fairly reputable names from Ireland in the crypto space and from abroad. I used to have Pete was one of them. Thank you very much for that, Pete. We have Anthony Apollo, that is the guy that is leading the whole stablecoin commission from Wyoming. We have the Michael Card. We have Chris Martin from KPMG Law giving us a talk on how not to go to jail. But it's always important. There were 14 sessions on it. In total, there were 17 mentors.
How was Connor Cantwell from Cosimo Ventures?
Connor was fantastic as well. He's always giving pragmatic views on how to fundraise and what is happening in the space. So that was fairly good. We have Maria Fernanda Yuped as well. That's the CEO from Crypto Markets. I think she has been fundraising for the last 6 months, just closing not long ago. So she has a really fresh perspective of what's happening in the space, which is always good to hear from. For being such a small country, right? Ireland either has a lot of Irish people abroad and in here that are extremely relevant in the space, but also we have really good friends abroad that are more than happy to just take an hour, even though they're extremely busy. And that's really important. We have the Phil as well from Airfoil talking about UI UX. That was a fantastic session because that's one of the main gaps that we have. Like we're still not there from the UI UX, and these guys are one of the top agencies in the Solana ecosystem and in the world of Web3. So giving the chance for the people to just get inspired about these stories, what they are telling, all this knowledge is just take them into a completely different level. And that was the feedback that we got, right? Like, hey, we never had the chance to have this before. And now 2 weeks, we're here rubbing feathers with people that had achieved so much. And that's what we need. That's exactly what we need. We want to just set the bar high in the Irish ecosystem. And this is the beginning of something important in Ireland. Like we have so many things happening at the moment. And it's time to just take it to the next level.
Yeah, I know. It's time to build. It's time to build. It was great to be involved with that. One of the conversations was around, listen, Pete, I know that you're telling me that I need to nail down the problem to solve, and that I need to then connect that to a market who feels that pain, and individuals and or businesses that feel that pain and who I need to solve that problem for. But the reality is so much of what we're building here in Web3 is for a market that is developing and for a market that will need what we're building when finance moves on chain. And I don't just mean institutional finance. I mean everyday finance, right? Your own personal wealth, but then also the whole big payment networks like we were talking about. So it was great to engage with the founders and really enjoyed that. And that all then culminated this past weekend, but we had the 19 projects that were presenting to the judge panel with my Santa Maria with Matt McAllister. And shout out to those two for giving up their Saturday on a sunny Saturday to come hang out with us, which was great. It was great to see the progress that the teams made. But what was the setup of the hackathon and how was that plugged into the whole global Solana ecosystem?
So there is the two hackathons. And a lot of the initiatives in the Solana ecosystem are around the two hackathons. There is a big push actually for builders. And one thing that is important to mention, this is not a weekend hackathon. It's not at all. It's a 4 weeks hackathon that, if you ask me, is more like a business competition. That's realistically what is getting built in there is businesses. And the demo day was the proof, because there were people that came with an idea and they left demo day with a business. Changed dramatically the perspective, right? Like people have been trying to use, we'll have an idea, and that's the extent. But now when they go through this process, 2 weeks working there, potentially even get some USDC to help them boost that project, that's a completely different experience. And that's what we want, right? Like we want continuous efforts. It's not just one weekend, see you next year. Like what we're trying to build in here is a continuous effort. We'll have Talent Hub next Friday, and then the week after that, we're going to have Dublin Startup Village. And what Dublin Startup Village is just a continuation. We have these 19 projects. Let's take them again. Let's just go there for 10 days. And then some of the guys that are coming to Startup Village are going to just be part of the European Demo Day in Budapest as part of the Apex. So you can see that there is a plan, right? There is a timeline with things just to get people from, I have an idea, into getting investment.
Absolutely. The lens that I looked at the projects through was just like you said, is this a business? And does it have real world impact? Is it something that takes advantage of all of the differentiators of Solana, right? Vis-a-vis other ecosystems, other protocols. So, we ended up with Study Perks, Sarah Wood's business, as being the winner. And any business that I look at the earliest stages, I need to see a founder market fit. And there's tons of that Sarah has for what she's bringing. She described herself as a discountaholic, and that we need to make it easier for students to take advantage of these discounts that they're offered. It can't be all this complexity around codes and proving your identity and having all these different student identity cards. It just needs to be simple and straightforward, and we can build that on Solana, right? And that was something that really resonated with me, but also with Maya and Matt, who are coming at this from a little bit of a different angle. So, we're really looking for businesses, and it was great to see that approach. We saw some fantastic technical projects as well, where on their technical merit alone could have absolutely placed first in the hackathon, right? But we're looking at this across the board, and I also had a little bit of a, is there an Irish ethos here that could be applicable?
And that was part as well of what we wanted with this sidetrack, right? How is this going to impact the Irish ecosystem, the Irish society? I wouldn't like to be you guys, because just selecting 5 out of the 19, I assume was a tough ask. And I remember the guys outside, when we were outside waiting for you guys on the deliberation, we said, it's taking long. I said, like, guys, that's a great sign that they're having a trouble just selecting who is going to be the top 5, because they wouldn't have gone out in 10 minutes.
It was difficult. It was very difficult. And, each one of us had our 5 that we debated through, and then it came up with a consensus that kind of ticked all the boxes. So, it was great to be involved with that. Where are you going to build from here on top of this momentum that you've really achieved over the last 6 weeks?
Yeah, there are a few things. We had the chance to visit a couple of universities during the launch week, but we need to just create a solid or more robust approach, just to tell the younger guys, hey, look, this is Solana, this is the opportunity, this is Web3 as technology. You should start looking at it. I believe as soon as we go there, we will have the bigger number of people from the Solana ecosystem. And Solana resonates pretty well with younger people. They really enjoy it, they like it. So that's one of the things. And as I mentioned, like the next big initiative we'll have is Startup Village, Dublin Startup Village. That is a little bit more open. You don't need to be building for any hackathon. You can just come. We'll have, again, some mentors and publishing people. So in that case, they can, or they are going to be ready to fundraise. That's the thing. When you go into these hackathon, these competitions, you have an idea, you structure it, you have some tech behind, and from afar, looks good. However, you need to start building the foundational pieces. So in that case, you can go into a fundraising exercise. That's what we're going to be doing, right? And it will take time. Yeah, it's only 10 days. Fair enough. But we need to begin somewhere, and that's the place.
And we've got a busy weekend coming up, right?
Busy weekend, busy week. It's Dublin Tech Week, so there's so much happening.
Yeah, there's tons. Yeah, it is going to be a busy week, and kicking off this Friday with ETH Dublin, and that then going through the weekend. And then we've got Crypto Mondays on Monday night here in Dublin at Toners. This will be our third edition of that. We're doing this one obviously with ETH Dublin, but also Solana Superteam and Techstars. And bringing those communities together, which is what Crypto Mondays is all about, is that we don't need these silos between the different builder communities and even the different verticals or horizontals, whatever you want to call it, between Web3 and Web2. This is people building interesting things with technology, people interested in those from an investment perspective, from an enterprise perspective, from a partnership perspective. So it's all about just, hey, let's have some good conversations. Let's have a couple of pints, perhaps some pizza as well. And
when worlds collide, Pete, when worlds collide.
Exactly. Worlds are colliding. It's a lot of fun. And then Dublin Tech Summit, I think I'm going to go for one of the days. I think next Thursday at RDS, I will be there. And then after that, I'm heading to New York on the 2nd of June for Techstars Web3 Class of 2025 Demo Day. So this is going to be a whirlwind over the next couple of weeks. I have about 500 invitations waiting for me to send out by email. And you know what we do? Hugh McGurr and I, we send them one by one, because if you don't and you use an email distribution tool, it goes to spam. We've seen way too much of that. So we're taking one by one and sending out these emails. So that's how much it means to me to get a good crowd there for the founders, is taking a number of hours just to go send out all these emails, and that's waiting from there. So
it's a culmination out of all the hard work that you, Hugh, and the rest of the team and the teams are putting on it, right? Like at the end of the day, what you want is these guys to showcase themselves and having the opportunity to be in front of VCs that will back them up. That's in a way what it's about, right?
Absolutely. And it's the power of the community, and that if you build a community, then it comes back to you in unexpected ways, shapes, and forms. It just brings value to everybody. So let's just do it,
100%. I fully agree. Look, I think if you don't have a community, especially with these technologies, it's irrelevant. You won't be able actually to just get in front of the pack if you don't have a community. You need that ecosystem. You need everybody pushing together. And I think that's one of the beautiful components about Ireland as an ecosystem. Like, people are not hold up about like, you're Ethereum, or you're Solana, you Avalanche, or you whatever. Like, people just get together and want to build, right?
Absolutely. It's a multi-chain ecosystem out there. So let's just embrace it,
Yeah. It's the only way. And look, I believe that with everything that is happening for the last month or so, I feel that there is a change in the perception of Ireland as a place to build, of Ireland as a hub for Web3. And I hope that everybody keeps that momentum going, right? Like I said, we launched Superteam Ireland this weekend. ETH Dublin, there are going to be big names coming to Ireland. You have Stani, you have Vitalik. And I think all this is going to boost the Irish ecosystem dramatically, right? And I hope that we are seeing the benefits out of it at the end of 2025 and 2026. This quarter, if you ask me, when we look back in the future and look at what happened, it probably is going to be that point in time where you say, okay, we're seeing all these because that happened at that point in time.
Yeah, it was a turning point. Quarter 2, 2025.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I'm with you on that, Alejandro. Let's end it there. And I know that I will see you this weekend.
I will see you this weekend for sure.
Great. Thank you, Alejandro.
Okay, Pete. Thank you.
That does it for this week, folks, and you can learn more about the topics we covered in the show notes on our website, moneyneversleeps.ie. Thanks to Alejandro Gutierrez for the awesome insights he shared in co-hosting this episode with me. If you like what you heard, please leave us a rating and or review on Spotify, Apple, or on moneyneversleeps.ie/rate. Thanks to Conan Brophy from Create Sound for mixing and editing this episode. Conan is an excellent media man to get in touch with when you're thinking about launching your own podcast. As for me, I'm an early-stage startup investor in the next version of the internet, and I lead the Techstars Web3 Accelerator. There are plenty of links in the show notes on moneyneversleeps.ie on how to get in touch, so don't hesitate to reach out. Finally, until next time, thanks for listening. See ya!